All right, your focus for today is going to be on building fluency with division by using the standard algorithm and checking for multiplication, solving your answer. So we're not going to be within the book today. I'm going to have work that I'd like for you guys to follow. So I'm going to have you guys follow along as I go through some division problems just to build that familiarity with the division algorithm and then how to check for multiplication. So the first one that I have is I have 926, and I'm going to divide 926 by 42. And so I can look at this a couple different ways. First thing I can do is I can just compare. So I look to see, is 42 smaller than 92? Yes, it is. That means 42 can go into 92 at least one time. How I determine how many times 42 can go into 92 is I just look here, because it's a two-digit number and I'm only looking at a two-digit number. I'm just going to look at the first digits. So I'm going to look at the 4 and the 9. 4 goes into 9 about 2 times. So I'm going to multiply 42 times 2 and see what I get. When I do that, I end up with 84. So 42 is going to be able to go into 92 twice, which is going to be 84. I'm going to subtract, and I have to regroup. So 12 minus 4 is going to be 8, and then I bring down the 6. So what's nice on this one is I already know how many times 42 can go into 86 because I'm going back to the original work that I did. It's going to be able to go in there twice, so I write the 2 above the 6, and then I multiply 42 times 2, and I end up with 84. I subtract, I have 2 left over, so my answer is 22, remainder 2. Now to check this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use multiplication. So I'm going to take my value of 22, so I'm going to take my quotient, and I'm going to multiply my quotient by my divisor, and then I'm going to see what I get. So 2 times 2 is going to be 4, 2 times 2 is going to be 4. Put down my placeholder. 4 times 2 is going to be 8, 4 times 2 is going to be 8. I'm going to add those together. So 4 and 0 is 4. 4 and 8 makes 12. I'm going to regroup. And then 1 and 8 is equal to 9. So I have 924. And if I look at this right now, the answer is wrong. So I have to make sure that I always remember to add in that remainder. And when I add in the remainder of 2, I end up with 926. So that's how I solve using the standard algorithm. I just look to see where I can divide, what value I can divide 42 by. I didn't look to see if I could divide 926 by 42, but I broke it into smaller pieces. I solved using the standard algorithm. So I multiplied, subtracted, brought down, multiplied, subtracted. I didn't have anything else to bring down, so 2 became my remainder. And then I checked by using multiplication. So I did my standard algorithm, and then I added in the remainder. All right, let's take a look at another problem. So I'm going to do 1,558, and I'm going to divide that by 38. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to do 38 does not go into 1, 38 does not go into 15, but 38 can go into 155. So I'm just going to look here at the first digit. 3 is not able to go into 1, so I have to look at the first 2 digits. 3 goes into 15 about 5 times. But if I look at this as not 30, but I look at this as 40, so if I round it and say, hey, this is 40, I now look at how many times 40 or 4, because 38 is close to 4, goes into 15. It's going to go in there 3 times. So I'm going to try 38 times 3 and see what I get, because I think that 38 times 5 is going to be too big. 8 times 3, which is 24. So I'll put down the 4. I regroup the 2. 3 times 3 is going to be 9, plus 2 is going to be 11. I don't know that I can get another 38 in there. I might try. So I'm going to just add 38. So it's a little bit of guess and check with this, just working on my number sense. So 38, 4 and 8 is going to make 12. I regroup. 1, 1, and 3 makes 5, and 152. So 38 can go into 155 4 times, because here I multiplied by 3, and then I added another 38. So it's going to go in there 4 times. So I'm going to put the 4 above the 5, and then I'm going to write 152 underneath because I've already multiplied. Then I'm going to subtract. 5 subtract 2 is going to be 3. 5 subtract 5 is going to be 0. 1 subtract 1 is going to be 0. And then I'm going to bring down my 8. And then I look at how many times 38 can go into 38. 38 goes into 38 one time. I subtract 38 and I get 0. Now I'm going to do my check. So I'm going to multiply my quotient to 41 by my divisor of 38, and I shouldn't have a remainder. So if I multiply correctly and I found the right answer, I should get 1,558 as my product. So 8 times 1 is going to be 8. 8 times 4 is going to be 32. Put down my placeholder. 3 times 1 is going to be 3. 3 times 4 is going to be 12. I'm going to add and see what I get. I have 8, 5, 5, 1. So my answer is correct because quotients match, divisors match, dividend and product match. So my answer is correct on that one. All right. The next one that I'm going to take a look at is I'm going to take a look at 77 divided into 693. So I start by looking to see where 77 can go. 77 can't go into 6. 77 can't go into 69. 77 is able to go into 693. So the 3 is where I will place my value for the quotient. It also tells me that if I'm putting my first number in the ones place value, I'm going to be multiplying 77 by a number less than 10. So I'm going to look at the 7. And 7 is bigger than 6, so I can't look at how many times 7 goes into 6. So I'm going to look at 69. 7 is going to go into 69 about 9 times. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to round this to 80. 80 is going to go into 69 about 8 times. So I will try 77 times 8 and see what I get there, because I think it's going to work because 693 is going to be larger. If I need to go up a math fact, I can go up a math fact. 8 times 7 is going to be 56, so I put down the 6. I regroup the 5. 8 times 7 is going to be 56 plus 5 is going to be 61. So that was too small of a math fact. I think I can get another 77 in. So I'm going to add and see what I get. 6 and 7 is going to be equal to 13. I'm going to regroup the 1. 1 and 7 is going to be equal to 9 and 6. So 693. I went up a math fact here with this 77. So 77 is going to go into 693 9 times. And when I multiply that, I got 693. So I subtract, and I have 0 left over. Okay. Take a look at my next problem. Oh, I forgot to go ahead and do my check. So I'm going to do 77 times 9. So I'll do my check. I'll change colors just so it pops out a little bit. 9 times 7 is going to be 63. So I write down the 3, regroup the 6. 9 times 7 is going to be 63 plus 6 is going to be 69. So 693 matches 693. My answer is correct. Take a look up. Is I'm going to divide 21 into 2,567. And when I divide 21 into 2,567, I start by looking at where I'm going to place my quotient. So 21 can't go into 2, so it's not going to go in the thousands place value. 21, however, can go into 25. So the 5 or the hundreds place is where I'm going to put my quotient. So 21 goes into 25 one time. Now I'm going to multiply. 21 times 1 is 21. I write that underneath and subtract. 5 subtract 1 is going to be 4. 2 subtract 2 is going to be 0. My next step is to bring down the 6. I look at how many times 21 can go into 46. 21 is able to go into 46 twice. When I multiply 21 times 2, I end up with 42. I'm going to subtract. I have 4 left over. I bring down the 7. 21 is going to be able to go into 47 twice. I'm going to come up here just so I have room to subtract. So 47 subtract 42 is going to equal 5. So my answer is going to be 122, remainder 5. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my check. So I'm going to do 122. I'm going to multiply that by 21. 2 times 1 is going to be 2. 2 times 1 is going to be 2. 1 times 1 is going to be 1. Put down my placeholder. 2 times 2 is going to be 4. 2 times 2 is going to be 4. 2 times 1 is going to be 2. Add those together. I get 2, 6, 5, 2. Doesn't match 2,567, does not match 2,562. Oh, I forgot to add in my remainder. So I'm going to add my remainder in plus 5. And when I add my remainder in, I get 2,567. So my answer is correct. Okay. At this point in time, if you feel that you are ready to work on your independent practice, I'm going to have you go ahead and move into your independent practice. If you'd like to see at least 1 or 2 more examples, go ahead and keep watching the video and I will do 1 or 2 more examples for you. So the next one that I'm going to do is I'm going to do 77 and I'm going to divide that into 462. So I'm going to do the same thing. I look at 77, can't go into 4. 77 can't go into 46. 77 is going to go into 462. So it's in the ones place. So it's a value less than 10 that I'm going to multiply 77 by. So I look at the 7, I look at the 46. 77 is going to go into 462 about 6 times. So I'm going to go ahead and try 77 times 6 and see what I get. 6 times 7 is going to be 42. Put down the 2, I regroup the 4. 6 times 7 is going to be 42, plus 4 is going to be 46. So I end up with 462. So I put my 6 above the 2. I write my multiplication down below. I subtract. I have nothing left over. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my check. 77 times 6. I'm going to go ahead and check. Even though I already did multiplication over here, I'm going to do my check just to make sure I didn't make a math error somewhere. So 6 times 7 is 42. So I'm going to put down the 2. I'm going to regroup the 4. 6 times 7 is 42 plus 4 is 46. 462 is equal to 462. All right, so the last problem that I'm going to do is I'm going to do 13 and I'm going to divide that into 1,748. So I look to see where I'm going to place my or my digit first for my quotient. 13 can't go into 1. 13 can, however, go into 17. So the hundreds place value, so I'm going to have a 3-digit quotient. So 13 goes into 17 one time. It's nice that 13 is less than 17, so it makes it easy. Then we'll multiply. 13 times 1 is 13. Subtract. I'm left with 4. I bring down the 4. Now I'm going to have to think about where 13 times what's going to give me to 44. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try 13 times 3 because it's a little bit bigger than, this is a little bit bigger than 10, even though it's a little bit bigger than 44. I think if I did 13 times 4, it would be greater than 44. So 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. 39 is really close to 44 without going over. So make sure that when you do this, you are writing your value right there. So 13 times 3 is 39. I'm going to subtract. And then I'm left with 5. And then I'm going to bring down my 8. And I look at how many times 13 is going to go into 58. 13 is going to go into 58 4 times, because 4 times 3 is going to be 12. I regroup the 1. 4 times 1 is going to be 4. Plus 1 is going to be 5. So I get 52. So I'm going to bring 58, subtract 52 here. And I have 6. So my remainder is going to be 6. Oh, I forgot to write the 4. So I was like 13, doesn't look right. So 134, remainder 6. So I'm going to go ahead and do my check just to make sure that I have the correct answer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 134 times 13. 4 times 3 is going to be 12. I regroup the 1. 3 times 3 is going to be 9. Plus 1 is going to be 10. I regroup the 1. 3 times 3 is going to be 3. Plus 1 is going to be 4. Put my placeholder. 1 times 4 is going to be 4. 1 times 3 is going to be 3. 1 times 1 is going to be 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add those together. 2 and 0 make 2. 4 and 0 make 4. 4 and 3 make 7. 1 and 0 make 1. And then I need to add in, so we'll just let's go there, my remainder. And I end up with 1,748. Point in time, you're going to work on your independent practice. Thanks for watching.